Well, it's been a pretty busy week. We're joined now by the Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch. Great to have you on the programme.
Good morning.
Thank you. Look, we've seen some pretty terrifying scenes in Belfast. We've seen kids dragged out of their burning homes. We've heard about 27 people being made homeless. What's your reaction to what we've seen?
I think what's happening in Belfast is horrific. I spoke to, when I made my statement in the House of Commons yesterday, I said that there's no justification for going house to house and targeting families. People are terrified. But I also don't want the riots and this horrific behaviour to distract from the other problem, which is worrying people all around the country. They are exploiting or a reaction to something very significant. And the incident, which we can only say so much about because there is a police investigation, but the brutal attack which we saw, someone is in hospital now, maimed permanently, just reminds us there are many people who have come to our country who should not be here. And if politicians don't address this issue, we will see more and more unrest.
Well, let's break the interview into two parts, because I feel like these are two quite distinct things to kind of hold in our heads. Concerns about immigration, violent scenes that we've seen.
But they are related. They're not separate. They are related. And I think that if we separate them and act like they're two completely different things rather than related, we actually do a disservice to the public and look like we're ignoring something that they care about.
I understand the point. I want to talk to you, if I may, about whether or not the scenes that we've seen in Belfast are racist. Hilary Benn says they are. There have been reports about families being targeted because of the colour of their skin. We've seen, racist graffiti. We've heard about racist chants. Are they racist?
Well, I have not seen exactly what has happened, but it is very clear that if you are being targeted and something terrible or bad is happening to you because of the colour of your skin, whatever the colour of your skin and whatever the colour of the perpetrator, yes, that is racism. But I don't want us to start talking as if we're taking sides based on skin colour. This is one of the things that I'm very worried about. I want to be on the side of people with common sense. We are a multiracial country. We need to find a way to make sure that we don't split off into different tribes or different groups. Anyone, whatever the colour of their skin, who's attacking anyone else, for whatever the colour of their skin, is in the wrong, and that's what we need to deal with.
You've obviously argued this week that police forces shouldn't focus on race or ethnicity when they're policing. They should focus on equality, as you put it.
They should focus on the crime and treat everyone equally.
Do you think that the scenes that we've seen in Belfast, where we have seen people, as you say, being targeted because of the colour of their skin, show that actually people from some communities do face increased risk, or do you not accept that?
So I don't think that we should scare people and make them feel that they are under threat. This is not a racist country. If the people who were being targeted were white, I expect the police to have the same response.
But just to come in,
that's the point I'm making.
In Belfast, people are frightened. If you are, and I mean this really seriously, if you are someone from an ethnic minority, someone who wasn't born in the UK, in Belfast right now, in some of these streets where they've seen people firebombing houses, you're going to be scared, aren't you?
Of course they're going to be scared, but that's obvious. Of course they're going to be scared. But we have seen sectarian violence in Northern Ireland that had nothing to do with skin colour and had to do, again, with a different kind of identity politics. The point I'm making is that if you start separating people into groups, you're Catholic, you're Protestant, you're black, you're white, you're this, or you're that, and you keep emphasising that, rather than emphasising that crimes are being committed and we need to tackle the crime.
But what if the crimes are being committed because of the skin colour?
It doesn't matter. A crime has been committed. Deal with the crime. Deal with the crime. If you start talking about groups as if certain groups are more at risk or more in danger or more likely to do this or do that, then you create the problem.
Even if they are?
Even if they are, then we should tackle the thing that is causing it. Why are ethnic minority groups being targeted? It is because a large number of people have come into the country and a percentage of those people are committing heinous crimes, whether it's rapes or murders, and that is animating people. Pretending that there is no issue around immigration and not dealing with the problem, as politicians have failed to do. And I've acknowledged the Conservative governments, we did a lot, but it didn't solve the problem, kept trying, but wouldn't do the thing that we need to do, which is leaving the Convention on Human Rights. That's how we solve our immigration problem. Just continuing having a debate about race and hand-wringing rather than treating everybody equally and having a conversation about crimes, about illegality, is how we get into this mess. Let's focus on the bad thing that's happening, the crimes and the illegality, whoever is causing them.
Look, I absolutely accept that there is a conversation that we need to have about immigration, right? But I'm just going to come back on the point where you're saying that the crimes that we've seen are because of people's fears about immigration. Because there are some who would say that if you see kids being dragged out of their house that's been set on fire, the reason for that is racism. It's not about immigration policy. It's about people being racist.
So, Sophie, what I'm saying is that, yes, that is racist, but if we keep moving on to a conversation about racism rather than a conversation about immigration, we are going to see more of these problems, not less.
Okay.
And what many people are seeing when we do this, it looks like the media class and the political class are trying to run away from a much tougher conversation about the fact that our borders are not being policed. I am a politician who's been elected in order to do things like keep our borders safe and keep people safe. Of course, if there are racist incidents, the police need to tackle them. But we shouldn't pretend that nothing else is happening except racism. Let's deal with all of the problems, treat all of the crimes with this, the level of enforcement that is demanded.
Let's talk about immigration policy, because there has been a focus on the way that the suspect, and you're right in what you're saying about the charge and how we have to be careful about it, but there is a focus on how the suspect entered the United Kingdom, basically by getting a bus between Dublin and Belfast. Isn't the problem that it is very difficult to close down on that way of people entering the United Kingdom? Because there hasn't been a physical border for a long, long time on the island of Ireland.
So I think talking about the common travel area, that border between Northern Ireland and Ireland, is a red herring. Okay. The fact is, most people who have come into our country illegally have not come in through the Irish border.
Do we know that?
So of course we know that. We see the small boats arriving, week after week. They're not coming in through the border between Northern Ireland and Ireland.
How do we know that? We don't know that. As far as I'm aware, we haven't got any numbers on.
That is a fact. Okay. That is a fact. So I don't want us again to get distracted by a different issue. The common travel area has been in existence for 100 years. People go to Ireland and Northern Ireland to work and live every day. Let's not distract. This is the thing I'm trying to get everyone to do. Let's stop distracting ourselves with red herrings and things which are secondary issues, and let's deal with the fact that all of Western Europe, not just the United Kingdom, has a problem with global mass migration, and the laws which we have are built for a different age. That is why I'm saying we need to leave the Convention on Human Rights and look at our Borders Bill. That's the Conservative policy. Leaving the Convention is just the beginning. We're going to need to do some very difficult and tough things to police our borders.
Can I ask, that because you've got a problem with this, that why should people trust the Conservatives, right? Because if you look at this suspect, he was granted leave to remain by the Conservatives at a time when we're hearing that applications from Sudan were, if not waved through, certainly fast-tracked, right? That you didn't even need an interview.
So this is a very good point. I was not in the Home Office at the time.
But you were in the government.
Yes, I was in the government, and the Home Secretary and the Immigration Minister who enacted this policy are in reform. So as far as I'm concerned, every party is culpable. I am saying that we're sorry. We tried a lot of things. People took advantage of our kindness. They exploited our kindness. The civil service clearly, and probably Suella Braverman and Robert Jenrick as well, also believed that these people were genuine refugees. What I'm saying is that I can't get a time machine. I wasn't in charge. I'm in charge now. We've got a tougher policy, leaving the Convention on Human Rights, a Borders Bill, which means that if you are an illegal asylum seeker, you will be immediately deported. That is Conservative policy.
Do you personally apologise for being part of that government?
So, as I said, I cannot apologise for things that I did not know were even happening. We're only discovering this now. I am sorry that these things happened under a Conservative government, but I need to talk about solutions. Apologies aren't going to fix what is happening in our borders right now. And we spend far too much time trying to point fingers rather than deal with the problem. We keep distracting ourselves from what is actually happening. And that is, even today, people are coming into our country. Labour has no idea what to do. The people who let them in are now in reform. The Conservative Party is the only party that has a proper plan to deal with this.
There's very quickly, two big issues I did want to ask you about. Defence Investment Plan is the first one, right? We are going to be getting a bit more detail about spending on defences. What are you hoping to see?
So what I would like to see is the money that the Chief of Defence Staff are asking for given in full. 28 billion is what he has asked for. That is the barest minimum that they need. And that's what they asked for before the war in Iran started. And since then, we have seen that Labour has done nothing in 2 years to maintain our defence. They paused the plans that Conservatives had put in place in 2024 when they came in, said they were having a strategic defence review and that they would come out with a plan. It's been 2 years. There's no plan. And every day we get weaker. That's why I have said that Labour needs to cut welfare spending and put that money into defence. They're going to be spending about 200 billion on welfare alone by 2031. They've got a plan for welfare till 2031. They do not have a plan for defence next year. That's a real problem.
And just very finally, I know it's something that you've talked about a lot. We've talked about it a lot, social media ban on under-16s. It does feel like the government is edging towards announcing something, maybe next week, if they do.
About time. I mean, I was on your show talking about this. Social media is for adults. It's not for children. These platforms are designed to be addictive and they are profiting from our children's anxiety and mental health. I don't think that they should be on social media, and I think the government needs to get on with it. I will support them if they do.
You will support them. You'll work with them to get any legislation passed as quickly as possible, then?
For banning under-16s from social media, yes, that is Conservative policy.
Kemi Badenoch, thank you very much indeed. Kemi Badenoch.